Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is being set up to be the darkest Xenoblade game in the series. Now, first off, I guess I'll throw out a quick disclaimer. I think, of course, because it's a Xenoblade game, there is going to be light-hearted moments, especially with the Napon, who look absolutely adorable. And usually when you see a Napon on the screen, that's supposed to be like the comedic relief. We've seen that multiple times with Tora and Ricky in the previous two Xenoblade games. And then not only that, the main character Senna seems absolutely adorable, and her interactions in a few trailers we've seen with Mio have been really adorable. So I think that there's definitely going to be lighthearted moments, especially because Lance seems to be a pretty positive guy. We've seen him in a celebratory shot multiple times, but even though there's going to be lighthearted moments, given the setup of this game and what it's going to be, what the game is from what we see so far right now because of the trailers, and given that it's a continuation of Xenoblade 1 and 2, meaning that whatever the endings of Xenoblade 1 and 2, which were supposed to be peaceful resolutions, ultimately led to a war, means that a lot of negative and dark things had to have happened. And when there's this war, obviously anytime when there's a war that's gonna revolve around death and things of the sort and tragedy, like we've seen in the previous two games. However, the unique circumstances of this war is that all the soldiers only have lives of 10 years apparently. So maybe they're summoned at some point, maybe they're summoned at, because the main characters are supposed to be in their teens, right? So maybe they're summoned in at like 8 years old, and then their 10 years, they die when they're 18. Or maybe people are just born at random different ages. Similar to, I guess, how blades are in Xenoblade 2, because each blade seems to have kind of like different ages depending on, but they don't really age though. Like, there are some blades that seem younger than others, but blades don't really age as they grow. Well, mentally they might, but it's all reset. But regardless, the setup of this game basically is, I've talked about this again in multiple videos before, but the setup of this game is basically, if it's the continuation of the stories of Xenoblade 1 and 2, that means that despite the peaceful endings that we thought happened, something happened, and those endings just seemingly are not peaceful. It seems that Shulk, what he did was not enough. What Rex did was not enough. We thought it was, but evidently it wasn't. And now we have two of the most beloved characters from their games, Melia and Nia, who you would think would act after the protagonists have been long gone. You would think they would continue to act in a way where they would be avoiding violence, yet they're thinking that violence is the only way to continue to live. And not only that, all these people are fighting and dying for these queens just so some flame clock can be filled. So it's going back to the idea of lives being just pointless, or just being for just an object or power for something else. In the first trailer or the second trailer, I forget which one, we hear Tyon say something about souls being food or something, or not allowing us to be food or something like that. Fuel, my fault. But I think that it's clear that the lives of the soldiers aren't valued. Well, there is the off-scene ceremony that we know Noah and Mio perform with the flutes, which are meant to ease the souls of those who are departed. But regardless, we're seeing the massive amount of people being told that their entire life revolves around just senseless fighting. You're raised to just kill people because that's what you're supposed to do, and that's what your life is. It's just to kill, right? And literally Shulk and Rex fought against that. So seeing how lives have been reduced to like animalistic type or caveman like behavior, just like not even humane at all, just reduced to just killing unnecessarily for the better of a queen. Like, any war, you can argue, can be considered inhumane, but particularly when it's a consistent one where it seems like a resolution between the two sides isn't even an option. It's not like they're talking about, what if Keeves and Agnes, what if the queens try to talk together? No. That's not something that we're being presented, and especially because if these soldiers are only having 10-year lives and it's a cycle of soldiers fight for 10 years, then they're sent off, and it's just a continuous cycle of generating soldiers to fight, that means that there's not clearly, both sides aren't trying to reason. And it seems as if not only that, both sides don't want the war to end. Because there would be action to try and end the war, but it seems like both sides are kind of at a stalemate from what we see. It doesn't seem like one side is significantly overpowering the other. And I think we see this also by the party being a party of 6, having 3 from both nations. So the nations are probably at a stalemate. So instead of trying to come together, like when Shulk and Egil were kind of fighting, and then, well, Shulk overpowered Egil, but even then, at some point they were able to come together and have that mutual understanding of, we don't need to continue to fight. It seems like that's not even a possibility in this game. And so because of that, I'm thinking that this game is going to be pretty dark, because it's going to have to deal with death. And then not only, I mean, every game has to deal with death, but, and then it has to deal with people's lives being seen as pretty much meaningless, you know? And we're gonna see the fate of a few characters before, and I really genuinely think that some characters that could have lived on, if they were to see this, they would do everything in their power to try and end this. Pyra and Mithra, if they were around, because we know Aegises can live after their driver dies, I would think they would do everything in their power to stop this. But Pyra and Mithra, we haven't seen them yet, and evidently they haven't stopped this war, so something had to have happened to them. They could still be present, but something had to have happened to Pyra or Mithra. The Machina, some of the Machina that would have outlived, like Egil's sister, who could still be alive, she would be fighting against this. So evidently some of the people that we know that would be trying to stop this war that could still be alive, they would have had to have been stopped, and they would have had to have been killed, or something would have had to have happened to those people that would fight, that would try and stop this war. I talked about this in why I think the legacies of Shulk and Rex were erased, because their legacy would not allow for this war. And I think there's a lot of other characters that could have lived on past long after the events of Xenoblade 1 and 2 that would not allow this to happen. So I think we're going to see some fan favorite characters either getting brainwashed or meeting worser demises. Like Zeke could have also lived on, and I know Zeke's a little bit of an idiot, but even though Zeke tries to be hard on the outside, we know Zeke is pretty much soft on the inside. He's a blade eater, so we know he could live on for long periods of time. So Zeke easily could be someone else, that fan favorite character that we could see potentially get caught in the crossfire. And I think we're going to see a lot of our fan favorite characters meet demises in the crossfire of this war, whatever started it. Or I don't know, maybe the overarching power just removed most of the people that would stand in their way, and then we can maybe see some like the Gato effect, where maybe Pyra and Mithra are treated like Gato in a sense, like if in Xenoblade 1 where Gato was mind controlled. So that's a possibility. But I just wanted to say this as a PSA to be aware. This story is definitely going to make you cry. If you already cried at Xenoblade Chronicles 2 story, like I cried at the end of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I'm not going to lie. But if you cried under any Xenoblade game, be prepared. Do not play this game without a box of tissues. You're going to need a box of tissues next to you playing this game. Because just simply looking at how it's being presented, and when you really go through and try to connect it to previous games, a lot of characters probably were caught in the crossfire of this war. Maybe descendants of characters as well. But regardless, I hope y'all like this video. I'll see you on the next one. I'll definitely keep the Xenoblade content coming. Thank you all for all the support on the Xenoblade videos. I want to keep them going. I'm trying to have a special video out tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be 2 weeks. Tomorrow, Friday the 15th, it's going to be 2 weeks before the game comes out. So I'm really hyped. I hope you all are hyped. And, you know, comment your Xenoblade theories. Let me know what you think about today's video. And I'll see you on the next video. Love y'all.